And how do we keep our service members safe? I mean, there are a lot of troops stationed abroad. There are a lot of troops specifically in the Middle East. There are a lot of worried family members and loved ones right now. What would be your message to them, as well as their loved ones here at home who have real concerns?
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's one of these things that I don't want to make it light, but at the same time, it is something that we've done a lot of. Is that there's these various threat conditions that we have on the base, and that gives you sort of that understanding of, hey, do I have to do? Is there attack imminent? Is there attack threat, or is there attack happening? All these different types of threat levels. So one of the things I could say is because we have three carrier groups, Nimitz, Carl Vincent's, and the Fifth Fleet sitting in Bahrain, there's a tremendous amount of forces that are there to be defensive in nature. So not just offensive, defensive in nature. So there's a lot of protection. But at the same time, this is one of the things that we expect. We're in the Middle East and deployed in that type of combat area. So that's the expectation. As far as the families are concerned, it's just trying to stay as calm as possible because you can create a problem, create a situation before it actually exists and it may not exist. So react to what is happening, not what could happen. And hopefully that maintains calm for both the families and the troops deployed. But that's how we did it in the past. It's how my family did it. And hopefully they're able to have peace at this time.
And considering, what we have seen so far from President Trump, do you think we are likely to see some type of escalation on the part of the U.S. now?
Great question. I mean, it's literally probably a flip of a coin in that room right now, and I'm sure that is split as far as do we respond or do we calm it down and de-escalate. Honestly, I think it's definitely going to be an impact of what is going to happen, or like, excuse me, if there people have been hurt, have troops been hurt, has there been damage? I think that's going to determine it because if there was one soldier that was hurt or killed, there will be an offensive reaction from the U.S. guaranteed. However, if it's again minor, where it's sort of a ego or positioning from Iran to reach back or snap back at the United States, that's the decision where you can say, hey, nobody's hurt, no harm, no foul, put it to the side, but let's not take it lightly. I literally think that's where we're at, and understanding the damage from these launches may be the determining factor. And Qatar, as a sovereign nation, still has a decision they get to make themselves.
And we are getting our first look here. This is video coming in from Doha, Qatar. This is from senior national correspondent Brian Inton, who is live on the ground there. You can see those lights in the sky with, Iranian state TV again confirming that they are attacking this U.S. air base there in the Mideast. Major, my last question for you. We see this retaliation. We don't know if this is just the beginning. We don't know if this is it. There's a lot that still is unknown. Do you think there is still some sort of viable path to peace?
Yes, absolutely. I do. And honestly, this is one of the things I was thinking about this morning of one, what is the success criteria that Israel established to attack Iran, which was the nuclear capability and these launching of these rockets. At some point, they're going to have to throttle back because if they're going to hurt and unfortunately kill civilians, you don't want to turn the civilian population against Israel and galvanize Iran. So they have to be careful there. But as far as what we're doing and seeing what Iran's response is, this is where we can de-escalate if there has been nobody hurt. As long as there is no damage, nobody killed, we can step away from this initial launch from Iran and say that's it, as long as they don't do something else as well. So I think we're at that pivotal point right now is we can take the right decision to de-escalate and try to knock this off. Or again, if somebody's been killed or hurt, I think we're escalating because of the threat that Trump gave. And we have a lot of forces there to hit Iran. And I hope we don't have to get to that point.
Absolutely. All right. Major Glenn Ignazio, really, really appreciate your input on this breaking news. Thank you again.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.